So here we are. YouTube caught copyright music in the background in the store, so I had to erase that, and I have to do a voiceover. Not my fault. What can I do? If they're playing music, it's copyrighted. And the YouTube computers are excellent at catching that. Here's some ready-made sandwiches, some hash brown type things. I primarily had wanted somewhere to walk this morning. I didn't have a big shopping list, but I knew we needed paper towels, so I thought, yeah, I could walk in the store for 20 minutes. This store is almost too large. Some other market baskets, these $5 Italians or $6 Italians or whatever, are really good. I could walk this one. I find some of the other ones, further removed from us in Maine are actually larger than this. And they're less pleasant because I tend to forget things and you have to go back to a different aisle. And it's like, no, with my back problems and things, I couldn't shop for 40 minutes. I just can't do it. So this store is a better size. Although I must admit, I do my shoppings at my local Hannaford's and Gorham mostly. But and I found people talk about the pricing. Oh, you save so much here. It's like, well, it's all if you know the prices or not. There are things that are more expensive here. So I have noticed a lot of times these cakes. Some of the items will be cheaper and some are more. In the paper and the flyers that we get for, it's supposed to be delivered Saturday, for Sunday is when the prices change, and we get an ad from them and an ad from Hannaford's, and there's usually one item, the front page type item in those ads that Hannaford will beat them on, and this is an item that they're picking out and putting on sale too, and Hannaford's will be better. Boy, look at these cakes. I do manage to get out of the store without buying a bunch of junk food. And I'm here first thing in the morning too. I believe they open at 7, but and so there's hardly anyone there. I like this time to shop. If someone's open that early, you go in and there's practically no people. Which, especially when I go to a Walmart or something, you go to those in an afternoon and, there's so many people. And, stores cannot afford to hire enough people at the wages they have to pay. Basically, minimum wage in Maine now is, it's supposedly 15, I think, the state wage, but just the scarcity means that you're going to be paying, usually $16 to $19 an hour to get anyone into any company to do anything. So that means good employees and bad employees. And then I would think you got to think twice about getting rid of a bad employee, because if they're doing some work, if you get rid of them, that some work won't be getting done. Say they only get 60% of their work done that they should get done. Well, that's still, look at the beans, $1.29. We've got summer squash and zucchini squash. Eggplants, I don't like eggplants. Peppers I like, all kinds of peppers. The different colors taste different. It's funny. For a while I was thinking, I'm going to use these colorful ones. And in onion and pepper pizzas, you've got cheese, and then you have, chopped up onions and chopped up peppers. It significantly changes the taste of the pizza if you use a color of pepper, that, like you just saw, that's not green, because they tend to be sweet. They just don't have the flavor that the green Peppers do. Oh, and here's the mushrooms. I always check these. I've grown mushrooms. I, forage for wild mushrooms. It's just interesting to see what they've got. And, when you look at the prices of mushrooms, they're really around, I would say and this is whole, $17 to $20 a pound for anything that's unusual. The regular button mushrooms that they grow, those are inexpensive, but everything else is in that $17 to $20 a pound range. And if they're dehydrated, the price goes up a lot because, look at these cauliflowers, $2.99. Cauliflower's big into these cooking competitions now because you could take it and do something with it. It doesn't have a lot of its own flavor, or maybe it does, but not its own texture. You can turn it into something like mashed potatoes. You can fry it, all these different little things people like to do. The big thing now is like blackening, they say. So it's the idea that you get not just a browning, but an actual black coating on something that you're cooking, and that's the stage before burnt. And that stage can add a significant amount of flavor. Like hot dogs, you cook them on a grill, a certain part of them are turned black, and that actually increases the flavor. Most people do believe that. We got macaroni and cheese in a tub here, and I'm going to get one. We like to have, my wife has a swallowing disorder, and so we have an emergency macaroni and cheese, something she can really eat well. And so if, I cook something, I cook different things, new things, and if she finds she can't eat it, I can get her something to eat in, less than 10 minutes. So we keep it that way. Let's see what else we have. They have a push on to hire 16-year-olds, I guess. And I think that's just to, help get enough labor. I wonder if they have to pay, the wage for, 16-year-olds is different than the wage for 18-year-olds, but they're just trying to get more labor. And to tell the truth, I don't see people that young in the store. Now, maybe, I guess that would tend to be only they'd tend to be there only after school, but I didn't see them there when school was out either. Here's a tub of macaronis. I'm going to get one of these. Ragu, pizza sauce, and spaghetti sauce. That's the brand we use. My wife likes it a lot. There, Main Street, $4.99. I think it's 28 ounces. So into the cart it goes. You can see I haven't got the paper towels yet, but plenty of fat and calories, I'll tell you that, and carbs. So, sodas. I try not to drink any soda anymore. Oh, barbecue stuff. And you know what they don't have too is they don't have as many generics as like a regular grocery store has. The grocery store, you're going to usually be presented with a name brand and a generic on a lot of items. Well, my impression of, here's the paper towels. My impression of Market Basket is, while they do have some generics, they're Market Basket branded, they don't have as many. So say you had a shopping list with 10 things and you decide you're only going to buy the generics on them. You might not find them all at Marketplace. So that goes down all to the theory. It's, we tend to buy generics except when we believe there's a reason to buy the more expensive brand names. And some items just taste a lot better or something like that. So I'm not saying we necessarily compromise on taste, but some of the things, the generic is just as good. I guess a lot of people who shop brand names, they might have a different experience of the store, because if they don't buy generics, maybe there are brand names that are less than in a regular store. I'm not quite sure. It used to be people would, I knew someone that shopped one day a week was their grocery shopping day, and they would go to 3 different stores. And they would be going, the ads we get, to get a Sunday paper, and the ads would be in there. And they'd actually plan out, I can get flour cheaper here. I can buy the sugar at this other store. And, things like that. They're running a special here. And I like this, I'm not sure if this is the one, but I like the salt that's 50% salt, sodium chloride, and 50% potassium chloride. And you automatically cut in half the sodium that you put in anything you make or sprinkle on anything, like mashed potatoes or whatever. And I don't detect a taste difference. My family doesn't. Some people, you can buy just pure, they call it no salt sometimes, but it's potassium chloride. And some people can taste a metallic taste from that. And it appears my family can't, and my wife can taste differences between things that is crazy. Like she can tell the difference between Oakhurst milk and another brand of milk. And, I could never do that, but she can. So I think it's a good option to find a product that's half sodium chloride and half potassium chloride. So instead of NaCl, half of it is KCl. That's the chemical formulas. And like I say, you automatically cut, half of the sodium out on everything you put it in. And, sometimes you make something that has a significant amount of salt in it, or people use a significant amount of salt, like on things, potatoes and different things. I don't tend to use a lot of salt in things I make, so when I buy, pre-made items like that, it's like, the salt level is like horrible. But no, people who do use salt and do buy brand names, they love it. Because, when you get right down to it, we have certain cravings to keep us alive. And this idea of having a place like this is not what early man dealt with. Early man needed a certain amount of salt, needed a certain amount of calories, needed a certain amount of fat, and a certain amount of proteins. But basically the things we crave a lot of the times are salty foods, fatty foods, and foods with a lot of calories. And we can crave protein too, but usually it's these other things which, unfortunately, when you're talking, here's the gold medal bread flour. I use both all-purpose flour and bread flour. And if you make your own bread, I've got a nice bread machine. It makes a difference if you use bread flour. And I'm not saying you can't make great bread with regular AP or all-purpose flour, but it's just the bread comes out a little better. And it seems to be more consistent with all purpose. You know, some people get into it, and if I could pick one up for practically nothing, you get a flour mill and you actually grind your own wheat. And some people do that and claim it's, you know, even better. Although batch to batch freshly ground wheat into flour is variable. So you'd have to know what you're doing with each thing, each batch you're making, because there can be some variability. A lot of candy. Getting ready for Halloween already. Some places are. Cereals. And this is where I'm looking for generics. And it's like, see, there's Market Basket, Raisin Bran, cornflakes. They've got generic cornflakes. I'm looking for rice checks and corn checks. My wife likes the rice checks, and I like them too, but I like the corn checks better. You know, it's funny, I was going to do a little video comparing the nutritional content and how I assumed it would be higher with the corn product, but it's basically the same. In name brands, the corn checks cost more than the rice checks. So corn is more expensive than rice, I guess. Here's our Cheerios. And I'm just going to get a big box of, well, this is their brand, Tostios, they call it. Captain Crunch. Haven't eaten that forever. You can see we've got some other generics. Shredded wheat generics. Oh, we're out of the cereal aisle. Almost. Well, we're getting near the end of the video here, but well, they have this interesting, they have a cheese thing. So that all of these cheeses, a couple different kinds of feta cheese, you know, what sort of way you want it and different things like that. Well, I must admit, I was cleaning the refrigerator out and I actually had to throw some out. It had feta cheese that had been in the refrigerator too long. I'm gonna, you know, I'm not cooking for 8 people. I'm cooking for 2 to 3. So it's like adjusting yourself down, and you know, you got to be careful what ingredients you buy that are going to go bad before you use them all. So because food is just too expensive to throw away. I'm looking at these hot dogs and I don't see the price. And thinking, these are the right hot dogs. This is what, if I have my choice, I would always have a red hot dog. They're different inside than regular hot dogs. They're natural casing, and they do have that red dye in it, but you can buy them in a lot of places without that red dye if that dye you believe is a problem. And some people, I've heard, you know, I don't know if it's red dye 40 or what the actual designation of the dye is, but some people don't let their children eat certain dyes because certain allergic problems they have. So it's nice to know you can find it, that style, without. But of course, you're paying $5 to $7 a pound for hot dogs, which used to be wicked cheap, and it was like the perception was whatever meat they could sell, they sold, and all the stuff left over that they couldn't sell, they turned into hot dogs. And they were very cheap, but no longer. Luncheon meat, you know, from the deli used to be really inexpensive, and now you go and some, if it's really high. I got a little prosciutto a week or two ago, because I've just never cooked with it. You see them doing it all the time, and I did not realize how much salt is in that. And it was funny afterwards, after I used some of it, I saw a cooking show that said, oh, people have got to realize when they adding prosciutto, they can't add regular salt to the rest of the dish because it just becomes too overpowering. And based on what I've discovered so far, that is true. And, you know, I probably won't be buying that again, but you never know. Just never know. Look at this stuff. You know, people in other countries just wouldn't be able to believe the stuff that we have as Americans, this huge variety, the number of stores, well-stocked stores, you know, Spam, low salt Spam, $3.99. I have some of that at home, where I would have bought some. That strikes me as a good price. And of course, canned meats last for a long time, and most people say they can last at least 5 years, and you know, like 3 years or more beyond their best use by date. So if you want to keep some food around for emergencies, that's a good thing, because you take something like Spam, you fry it, and it becomes really good. It becomes more like ham. You get a little of that searing where you get the brown color. It's a lot better.